Hey, welcome back to NF Tuesday, where I do a deep dive into NFT projects and other crypto-related projects from the legal side, because there's a lot out there written about the code and smart contracts and auditing them and tell you whether the code is actually legitimate, but there's even less on the legal side to say what's actually in the IP grant and the privacy policy in terms of service. And that's what I'm here to kind of shine a little light on things on the legal side. And this week we're talking about Uniswap. They caught some attention this week because they updated their privacy policy recently. And that privacy policy says that they collect users' public wallet addresses and share it with some service providers. So let's take a look at the articles. Let's take a look at the privacy policies and a couple other things. And I'm going to tell you why a lot of this attention is really bullshit. Nobody reads this stuff. Apparently, I'm the only person on the internet who actually critically thinks about this stuff from a legal angle. So let's get into it. Here's an article from CoinDesk. Crypto exchange Uniswap says it collects users' public on-chain data, but it said personal identifiers are not collected. They go on to talk about it, yada, yada. Cointelegraph picked it up too, and so did The Block. Basically, Uniswap came out with this site that said our first priority is to protect user data and privacy, but we do want to make data-driven decisions and improve user experience. That includes public on-chain data and limited off-chain data like device type, browser version, etc. Okay, and it says that the privacy policy notes that the DEX and other third-party service providers may gather info related to users' mobile device ID, cookies, etc., which is really the same stuff that people have been doing all along. But what better thing to do rather than understand it than just rage tweet about it, retweet a bunch of stuff, trashing Uniswap for having this type of stuff on their privacy policy and actually being transparent about it. So I thought, well, geez, what does the privacy policy actually say? And what did the last version say? If only there was a way I could check that out. Well, there is this thing called the Wayback Machine. And on the Wayback Machine, you can look up sites like Uniswap, figure out what their privacy policy used to say, and look, you can find it right here. Here's one from November 11th, and here's the new one from November 17th. And like a smart lawyer, what you do in these situations is you take the one from November 11th, you paste it into one document, you take the one from November 17th, you paste it into the other document, and then it spits out this cool thing called a redline version. And the redline version shows you all the changes that were made. Now, first of all, from a lawyer standpoint, usually if you update your privacy policy on November 11th and then again on 17th, probably means you forgot something. I've done this before. So anytime you see a privacy policy updated in a very short order, copy both of them and maybe do a little quick compare version because it'll probably show you a couple little tweaks that somebody maybe forgot. Now, in this case, I don't know if the November 11th version was the version that had existed before then. Like, I don't know what the original Uniswap privacy policy was, but we know that there was one on November 11th and there's a new one on November 17th, which is a little suspicious. So let's take a look at the compare version and see what actually changed. I use this little tool. I go next. Okay, the date changed. The website's the same, but the hyperlink probably looks a little different. We got a little bit of a formatting thing here. And as I kind of scroll down, I'm like, okay, there aren't a whole lot of changes here. Some links updating and stuff. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Really not a whole lot of changes. But the meat of it is in this one little paragraph where it says with service providers, there's some stuff that changed, all right? Now, first, from a threshold issue, I want to look at what do they actually collect. And up here it says, we do not maintain user accounts and do not collect and store personal data such as your name or internet protocol address. Okay, so from a threshold issue, Uniswap is not storing any like your really identifiable data. Sure, you could probably link your on-chain address to you personally if you had other information from other exchanges and stuff. But as a threshold issue, Uniswap doesn't really want to know anything about you. That's smart from a data privacy standpoint. They're not interested. So if you're worried about your personal data, your actual name, address, social security number, bank address, and stuff like that, they don't really care. They're only going to look at your wallet address, which is publicly available anyway. So as a threshold issue, I don't see why that is somehow a problem, okay? So if I scroll down to this one paragraph that did change, here's what it says. How we share data. We may share data or disclose the data we collect with service providers. we may share your information with our service providers and vendors to assist us in providing and delivering and improving the services. So between November 11th and 17th, we can see that they added the word improving just to clarify. I don't read into this very much. That's usually something you want to include that you can use the data in. I've written these before. That's normal. For example, we may share your wallet address with service providers like Infura and Cloudflare to provide technical infrastructure services and your wallet address. So again here, this is just another clarification. They're saying, just to be clear, that this and refers back to the wallet address, which I was already speaking about, but we just want to be real clear and transparent that that's what we're talking about. So they will also share your wallet address with blockchain analytics providers to detect, prevent, and mitigate financial crime and other illicit or harmful activities, and your activity on our social media pages, which with our analytics provider to learn more about how you interact with us and the services. So that's really the only change they made there. A couple of quick changes clarifying that they use the wallet address with analytics providers. Now that second part I'm a little confused on. Maybe somebody could sound off in the comments how they can track your social media interaction if they don't collect information like device identifiers, IP addresses, and stuff like that. I'm a little turned around there because it seems to me that you wouldn't be able to track your interaction with your social media pages using only their publicly available wallet address. So there might be a little bit of discrepancy there, but generally speaking, in this in this privacy policy, Uniswap's being very clear and deliberate in saying these are the service providers we're sharing the information with. It's only your publicly available wallet address. We're not collecting your name and stuff and sharing it with them. It's only your wallet address. But they get lit up because they changed their privacy policy. And here I am thinking to myself, okay, seems like an update. Seems like a lot of people don't understand privacy policies and the rights and responsibilities you have to disclose what information you're collecting. I wonder what some of their competitors do. Do you think their competitors have the same transparency with their privacy policy? Gee, if only there was a way that a crypto journalist like CoinDesk or Cointelegraph could look and see if there was maybe some type of statement that companies made on their website, some type of policy saying, here's how we use data. Maybe we could look at a competitor of Uniswap and seeing if they're actually doing anything out of the ordinary here. What a genius idea, but apparently I'm the only person on the internet who critically thinks about this stuff, reads privacy policies, and does a due diligence to actually look into other things, other competitors, to see if Uniswap is actually doing anything abnormal here. What do you think I found? Let's take a look. Let's go to the tape, shall we? Here's one competitor to Uniswap called SushiSwap. Let's see what their privacy policy says. Wow, I'm looking down here. We don't even have one on there. Maybe if I click this terms of use, that'll show me where the privacy policy is. Boom. Sushi website terms of use. Wow, there's like literally nothing in here. This is as short and bad as Bored Apes is. There's literally nothing in this entire website that says what type of data they're collecting, the purposes for which they collect the data, and who they share it with. Each of these are required by things like the general data privacy regulations in Europe, which is the big one, and most United States data privacy laws too. And all of those regulations will at least say you have to have a privacy policy on your website. Okay, so tell me which one would you prefer? Uniswap, which clearly discloses what data they're collecting, the purposes they use it for in compliance with these laws, or SushiSwap, which has literally nothing about any of that. You tell me. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, another competitor, Aave. Let's see what they say. They at least have their shit together and have a privacy policy. That's good. Let's see what information they collect. They collect information you provide, okay? Any type of content, okay? Or anything you may choose to voluntarily provide. What does that mean? If I control F here and say wallet, there are a couple mentions of wallet here, so we know that they'll probably collect that, but they're pretty vague up here in terms of what information they actually collect, and that's okay, but we know if we go over to their app website that you're going to have to provide your wallet address. So that would be included in the information that they collect, all right? How do they use the information? Well, they do it to operate and manage services, provide services requested for you, et cetera, blah, 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 protect the integrity and security of the services. Okay, this is all reasonable. But when it comes down to sharing and disclosure of information, it's really vague what they're using it for. They share it with affiliates. We share information with our affiliates and related entities. I don't know what that means. I got no idea what that means. At least in Uniswap, they say this is the name of the service providers we might share this information with, okay? But this is just affiliates and related entities, and I'll show you again that it says service providers. Very vague, so I'm not shitting on Aave for this. They at least have a privacy policy, but it doesn't make sense to criticize Uniswap when they're being rather specific and transparent about what they're using the data for. Remember FTX and how pissed off we were literally last week over billions and billions and billions of dollars lost due to lack of transparency and fraud. And now we just completely forgot about this and we don't give any care whatsoever to Uniswap for being transparent about this. Explain to me what we're learning about crypto. Explain to me what we've learned so far. All right, back to the tape. So we share information with our affiliates and related entities, including where they act as our service providers or for their own internal purposes. Okay, I don't know what internal purposes mean. That's rather vague to me. To me, it seems like this wallet address can be shared for pretty much anything. But even if you are a service provider, we share information with third-party service providers for business purposes. What does that mean? Including fraud detection and prevention. Okay, I'm cool there. Security threat detection. That's fine. Payment processing, customer support. Data analytics, information technology. You'll see it just keeps getting vaguer and vaguer as you go. Storage and transaction monitoring. Any information shared with such service providers is subject to the terms of this privacy policy, and all service providers are restricted only using it for that reason. Okay, so at least we know that Aave is got a privacy policy, but they're a little more vague than Uniswap is. And again, apparently we want transparency, but not when we can write an article about it and get a bunch of clicks on CoinDesk and Cointelegraph. Nobody's doing any due diligence on this and thinking about what competitors are actually doing. Okay, let's keep going. ThorSwap. Let's see what their privacy policy says. Really cool looking website. Really looks professional. Look, they got all these links to different companies and a bunch of different things for the community and your Discord and everything like that. But nowhere on here is there anything about a privacy policy. You got nothing. We have no idea what their terms of use are. If we click through some of the links, let's look at ThorSwap. Welcome to ThorSwap. Here's a bunch of information on us. We'll tell you everything you want to know except for how we're using your data and what the terms of our service are. That's really helpful. Maybe that's somewhere else. Okay, let's look here. Maybe it's on the useful links page. Nope. We just don't have any policy whatsoever in terms of what actually happens when you use our service. And if I go to the actual app page, oh, look, there's still nothing anywhere explaining to me what the actual terms of use are. Nothing here in global settings, no transaction in history, nothing in announcements. I have no idea what ThorSwap is collecting. I don't know what data they're collecting. They might be taking my wallet address. Maybe I have to provide my name, email, phone number. Who knows? I don't really care. But we don't know what they're collecting it, why they're collecting it, and who they're sharing it with whatsoever. ThorSwap is just as bad as SushiSwap is. Aave at least has some of their stuff together. Let's look at one more competitor to Uniswap called 1inch. So here's 1inch. Here's the website. Real sexy looking again. You get to the bottom. There's nothing here about the privacy policy, but okay, that is maybe okay because what if it's on their actual app page? They should really have something here for web visitors. And it's true that if you actually go to the 1inch app and you say it'll come up asking you about cookies, if you click to see the privacy policy, it comes up with a PDF that I've looked at. I like 1inch because it says they do their best to collect as minimum personal data as possible. Still, it's quite a task not to collect it at all. So that's why we have this privacy policy. They are a Grand Cayman company, so the data privacy laws will be pretty tough, make it pretty tough to reach them, although they still apply, like the GDPR applies if you're dealing with European customers, and the CCPA in California deals with applies if you're dealing with California customers. So it still would apply, but let's look at the type of data they collect. So here's 1inch. They say we collect your email address, your name, and other personal data, and it's only used as for communication with you, but they at least have it. That personal data that you're asked to provide and the reason you're asked to provide it will be made clear to you at the point of collection. That's what you're supposed to do according to data privacy laws. They'll also look at your IP address, MAC address, log files, etc., etc., and they'll also collect your wallet addresses. Okay, so in comparison to Uniswap, 1inch is collecting a little more information about your name and identifiable information like that, but they're also collecting your wallet address, and this has been available publicly on this privacy policy for quite some time. Again, if we go up the top here, this has been in place since January 31st, but nobody's talked about the fact that 1inch is collecting your wallet addresses. But again, Uniswap says that they might share it with some people, so let's see what Uniswap shares it with. Here we go. How and why we use your personal data. They'll use it to ensure security and stuff. That's fine. Assessing and improving the performance of the interface. That's fine. That's like A/B testing, I presume. This is normal. You see it in every terms of service or privacy policy. And analyzing our visitors' actions to improve the interface and stuff. I'm like, okay, like nothing bad. Nothing here says that they are going to share it with anybody. But if we scroll down a little bit, there's something called disclosure of data. In connection with the legal basis for collecting and processing the personal data, we may disclose any personal data about you in connection with a merger, blah, blah, blah. That's normal. To our subsidiaries or affiliates, if any, only if necessary for operational purposes. Okay, so we got like 3 very vague words right there. To our affiliates, our subsidiaries. I don't know what affiliates are. Those companies you work with, you have a contract with, you actually have to have an ownership percentage in them, and it's only for operational purposes. No idea. No idea. I mean, that can be anything, right? And here we are again on CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, and Block, picking up articles, writing articles about Uniswap and carving them, sewering them for updating their privacy policy to be very clear and transparent about what they're using personal data for. Whereas a week or 2 ago, when FTX fucking crashed and Sam Bankman-Fried fraud goes down and everybody's bitching about him for not being transparent and how could this possibly happen, here we are literally a week later, literally 1 week later saying, Uniswap, you guys changed your privacy policy. When fucking 1inch had done this 11 months ago, Uniswap now changes it, very transparent about what they're using the data for, and they get carved and people writing articles about them. What is this journalism? Is anybody actually reading this stuff? Is anybody actually read these privacy policies and understand what they mean legally? Or do we just rage tweet stuff about Uniswap and share articles and just fire them off for clicks? I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. These people who write articles about crypto are freaking idiots. Anytime they're talking about legal stuff, they have no idea. Anytime you read a single article that has anything about legality or the law or enforcing it, do not believe a goddamn thing in that article unless a lawyer is quoted. Full stop. These articles are trash. Props to Uniswap for being very just open and honest and transparent in their privacy policy. That's what you're supposed to do. They're very deliberate, saying the purposes for which they will disclose the data. They clearly say that they only collect as much information as they really have to. They really try not to collect any information about you personally, but your publicly available wallet address might be shared with service providers to help them perform the services. That is far better than SushiSwap, which has literally no privacy policy. ThorSwap, which also has really nothing at all on its website. Aave has actually got their shit together. They have a privacy policy, but it's more vague than Uniswap. And same thing with 1inch, which also has a legitimate privacy policy, but is still a little vague in terms of what they collect the information for and who they share it with. Things like affiliate and operational purposes, I really don't know what you mean, but Uniswap is the one that takes the heat for making an update that's transparent and honest in compliance with all data privacy laws when these competitors don't have their shit together. Make sense of this to me. Make sense of this to me. Pay attention, read your privacy policies, and follow back here because I'm going to be doing this for quite some time, digging in deep about the actual legal side of crypto-related projects and NFT projects to shine a light on a lot of the issues that we see. Uniswap, you're cool by me. SushiSwap, ThorSwap, stay away. Aave and 1inch seem pretty legit. I'm out.